Good morning to all. Next is stability of coordination compounds in solutions. So we have stability constant we have already discussed. We have few points to discuss regarding that one. So if at all if a metal is there, so that is the metal ions either it may be we have a central metal ion. So the charge on the central metal ion, if at all if the greater the charge on the central metal ion, then greater will be the stability of that particular complex. So we'll mention that one. The greater the charge on the ion, greater is the stability. So based upon this, so we have given with a few arrangements or order of the metals it is given. So Mn2 plus, Fe2 plus, all these are of transition metals itself. But the thing is all of them have same charge. So if at all if same charge is there, then this order has to be followed irrespective of the ligand what involved. We are going to write the order now. So this order is called Irving-Williams order. So in all these things, so the ions, all these ions have a +2 as the charge. So this is called as the Irving-Williams order. So stability is going to increase in this manner. Okay. So next point, second point we'll discuss. So the second point is if at all if the metal ions have been considered as a class A acceptors and class B acceptors. So class A acceptors are nothing but, so we have the metals of group 1 and 2, and even we have the inner transition metals, inner transition metals, and early members of the that is group 3 to group 6 form stable complexes, with the ligands who has donor atoms as nitrogen, oxygen or fluorine. So these elements with the donor atoms nitrogen, oxygen and or fluorine, it will be acting as a more stable complexes. So the next one, we'll move on to the next one, that is class B acceptors. So here the transition metals are there. So the metals I'm going to write it here: palladium, silver, iridium, gold and Hg. So why these are not included there is all of them have fully filled d orbital, fully filled d orbitals. So here also same thing, if at all if the ligands are nitrogen, oxygen or fluorine, so these are going to form the more stable compounds. So this is what the donor atoms, if at all if it is there with nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, then so with these elements, so they form more stabler complexes. Likewise, we have chelate effect also, that is so if at all if the polydentate ligand is there, It is going to form the ring structure or the ring structure around the central metal atom. Then chelate effect, the stabilization due to chelation is called as the chelate effect. So if at all, if it is the chelate effect is maximum for 5 and 6 membered rings. If at all, if it is an 6 membered ring, then so what the rings will provide greater stability to the complexes. So that is what called as the chelate effect is. Next, we'll move on to the color in the coordination complexes. Color in the coordination complex. We know that the color in the complex is due to DD transition. That is what a partially filled DD transition. So the partially filled d orbital electron from lower energy level. That is, we have two, if at all, if octahedral complex is concerned. So two sets we have. So that is T2G set and EG set. So if at all, if the electron from T2G set, if it jumps to EG set, then so by absorbing the, when visible white light is made to fall on the substance, so it is going to absorb the some amount of radiations within particular amount of wavelength, which is required for the electron to jump from T2G set to EG set. And in the higher energy state, it is not stable. It should return back. While returning back, it gives out the amount of energy which it has already absorbed. So that returning giving out the radiation, so that will fall under again in the visible region itself. So that is will be giving out an color to the complex. Suppose so if at all, if it is absorbing, if at all, if it is absorbing a particular color or particular wavelength, when it is transmitting, it is going to absorb the radiation of a particular color. But when it is returning back, it is going to give out some other color. So those two colors are called as complementary colors. They are nothing but complementary colors. Suppose if at all, if it is absorbing a violet color, if it is absorbing a violet color while transmitting from here to here, it is absorbing violet color, it is going to give out an yellow green color. It is going to give out an yellow green color. So these two are called as complementary colors. Likewise, if at all, if it is a blue, then it is going to give out orange color. If at all, if it is a green blue color, bluish green color, if it is absorbing, then also it will give out an orange color itself. Likewise, if it is absorbing a green color, it is going to give out an purple color. Give out a purple or almost violet color itself. So if it is an yellow green already we have seen. Yellow green and violet are complementary colors. If it is absorbing yellow color, then it will exhibit violet color, like that. Okay. So likewise, if at all, if it is an yellow color, pure yellow color, if it is absorbing, then it is going to give out a blue color. Likewise, red, if it is absorbing, then it is going to give out a blue-green color. Okay. So the what a wavelengths absorption of wavelengths also is there. So if at all, if it is a violet and yellow green, so it is from around 4000 to 4500 angstrom. Under the wavelength 4000 to 4500 angstrom. So this is from 4500 to 4800 angstrom. So green to orange is about 4800 to 4900. Green purple is about 5000 to So it is 5000 to 5600 range. Yellow and blue is about it is about 5750 to 5900. Likewise, red and blue, yellow and blue and green is about, so 5750 to 5900. So likewise, yellow and blue is about, so 5900 to 6250. Likewise, it is 6250 to 7500. These are about the wavelength ranges. So in terms of ions also we can check that one. So that is, if at all, if it is an ion. So ion with an electronic configuration. We know that. So it should be the d orbital should be incompletely or partially filled. Then only it can show the dd transition. So if at all, if dd transition is there, then it is going to exhibit the color. So if at all, if it is Ti3 plus, it is violet. V3 plus, it is green with an electronic configuration 3d2. So all these are unpaired electrons. So it is violet again. So vanadium and chromium 3 plus with the same electronic configuration, violet color. So it is blue color. Likewise, violet again, Mn3 plus. So all these are nothing but whatever is there until here. We have unpaired electrons. The maximum unpaired electrons is N is equals to 5. So Fe3 plus 3d5 yellow color, Fe2 plus. So here once again the unpaired electron is going to decrease. You can observe. So Mn2 plus Fe3 plus, it is N is equals to 5, and the remaining all once again it is going to decrease. Once again it decreases. Cu2 plus with 3d9 and number of unpaired electrons is 1, and it exhibits blue color. So this is about the color of the complexes. Next, importance and applications of coordination compounds. So this is one of the important part for competitive. So in biological systems, chlorophylls, green pigments in plants. Chlorophylls are nothing but green pigments which are present in plants. Likewise, we have hemoglobin, and we have vitamin B12, cyanocobalamin it is. So all these are nothing but they are complex compounds. So chlorophyll, it is an complex compound of magnesium. So hemoglobin is of iron, and vitamin B12 is of cobalt. So these are very important for the life sustaining. It is very, very important. So these biological, the coordination compounds are of greater importance in biological systems also. So next we'll move on to the next one. So that is in analytical chemistry. So that is in salt analysis. So if at all, if it is checked, the presence of basic radicals is confirmed by converting them into suitable complexes. So if at all, if you check the reaction, the first reaction, so it is nothing but we are going to check the basic radicals in the complex, given complex. That is, analytical chemistry is nothing but analyzing the compounds. We are going to analyze the compounds. So if at all, if FeCl3 is being added, so we are going to add potassium thiocyanate to this one. So we are going to get the complex as FeCNS thrice and KCl. So here the identification is based upon the color of the complex. So Fe3 plus ion. So FeCl3 we have, this is been going to form an complex here. So the complex Fe3 plus ions we are going to detect. The presence of Fe3 plus ions indicates by the red blood color compound. So this is a red blood color compound. So this becomes a red blood color compound. So either you can take here potassium, or ammonium thiocyanate is also it is also possible. With the ammonium thiocyanate also we can do the reaction. So the blood red color indicates the presence of a ferrithioyanate. It indicates the presence of ferrithioyanate. Likewise, we have zinc. So zinc chloride. So we are going to so here there is an presence of zinc in the complex. So the compound is bluish white color. It is bluish white color precipitate it is going to give. So this complex gives a bluish white color precipitate that indicates the presence of Zn2 plus ion. So if at all, if you check this complex, that is potassium, with that iron compound it is, iron complex it is. So Zn2 plus ions, so it is by adding an potassium ferrocyanate, it is potassium ferrocyanate, we are going to get the complex as a zinc hexacyanoferrate, which is bluish white in color. So the color of the precipitate indicates the presence of Zn2 plus. So next one is about the presence of Cu2 plus. We are detecting for Cu2 plus. We are adding potassium ferrocyanide once again. So here whatever the iron is there, so it is going to, so this complex is going to combine with the Cu2 plus and it is going to form an chocolate color. This is an chocolate color precipitate. So copper ferrocyanate it is, copper hexacyanoferrate, the IUPAC name, copper hexacyanoferrate. So it is chocolate brown or chocolate in color, so which indicates the presence of a Cu2 plus. Okay, next. So the one more important thing is we are going to separate the mixture of two ions. If at all, if two ions are there, so we are going to separate them. How we shall see this is the example. This is one example. We have Cu2 plus also and we have Ni2 plus also. In our complex, we have Cu2 plus as well as Ni2 plus we have, in our compound. In our mixture, we have CO2 plus as well as Ni2 plus, that is cobalt 2 plus and nickel 2 plus. We are going to add hexacyanoferrate, hexacyano compound we are going to add here. So in this what happens is, so it is going to, both the metal ions going to form a complex, but one of the metal is insoluble in NH4OH and another one is soluble in NH4OH. So cobalt complex is insoluble after preparing a complex. So cobalt will react with the complex and it is going to form the complex in this form. Nickel is going to form in this form. So we are going to mix NH4OH to the solution, because of which it becomes soluble and this will remain as it is in the complex, in the solution as a precipitate. So easily we can separate cobalt complex and nickel complex separately. So color of the metal ions with the chelating ligand. So we have studied the color of the complexes just now. So chelating ligand we are discussing now. So this is nickel dimethyl glyoxime. It is an red color precipitate. So likewise we have Fe2 plus reacting with phenanthroline. So it is going to form an iron phenanthroline complex which forms an chelating ligand here. That is only one molecule of phenanthroline we have taken here. Likewise, one more molecule down also it comes. It is going to form a ring structure above and below, which is a brown colored precipitate. So we know that this chelating ligand forms a ring structure and it is responsible for the stability of the complexes. So that is nothing but chelate effect. So in industries, it is going to act as a catalyst. So where all we can see this one. This is in the industrial process actually. So homogeneous catalysis, we have studied homogeneous catalysis and heterogeneous catalysis. So in case of homogeneous catalysis, we will be coming across with an Wilkinson catalyst. So which is nothing but chloridotris triphenyl rhodium 1. So the name of the complex, that is Wilkinson catalyst is chloridotris triphenyl rhodium 1. it is used for the selective hydrogenation of alkene. So the double bond at the end of the chain is hydrogenated, but the double bond elsewhere in the chain are if at all, if it is there, not at the end. If it is present in the middle of the carbon chain, if it is there, it is not going to affect the catalyst. Wilkinson catalyst is not going to affect that one. So that is what called selective hydrogenation of alkenes. Only it affects the carbon which is present, that is the double bond which is present at the end of the carbon chain. So likewise, it also it changes the carboxylic acid to alcohols, or it reduces carboxylic acids to alcohols also. So next, heterogeneous catalysis. We have a Ziegler-Natta catalyst. We'll be coming across with this one in polymerization. So like the Ziegler-Natta catalyst is, we have a formula given here. So we can say that it is triethyl aluminium and titanium tetrachloride. Triethyl aluminium and tetrachloride together forms an Ziegler-Natta catalyst. It is used as a catalyst for the low temperature polymerization of alkene. That is nothing but, so we have HDPE, that is high density polyethene, which is being prepared by using ethene, high density polyethene. So it is ethene, not from ethane, it is ethene. So we can now make a correction there. So it is ethene. Next, so in the medical field also it is very, very important. That is we have an complex, that is platinum complex. So that is being called, in general it is being called as the cisplatin. So the structure is given here. It is very, very important. So for theory also it is important. So in medical field we are going to use the cisplatin as an anti-cancer agent. It acts as an anti-cancer agent. So in agriculture field also, to prevent the infection of young plants, the seeds are treated with organometallic compounds such as ethyl mercury iodide. So likewise, it is also been very important in the case of organic synthesis also. So we are going to use organolithium and organomagnesium compounds. Organomagnesium compounds are nothing but Grignard reagents. So those are useful in the synthesis of different types of organic compounds. So likewise, we have in future also, it is going to help in the production of semiconductors for the electronic industries and pharmaceuticals, likewise flavors and fragrances, where we are going to use all these things in our perfumes, cosmetics and all. So it is going to help in the future in all these sections.